Good news is the wind is picking up, which means the storm might be blowing out, but it is still raining. I'm still sitting in the van waiting a little bit. I'm ready to go. I got the frog togs on if I really wanted to go that bad, and I do. That's why I put them on. But it's still raining a little, so I am going to let it calm a little. And we changed our plan a little because of that. We were going to do this, where are we? This from this parking area, come down and do this big 4-mile loop, which I would still like to do, but it'll be noon or after before we get going. So I parked way down here, and a little bit strategically, because there's water ports in a few different places and things like that, so I can restock. But also, I want to do the little loop around this lake here and come back. And if it's not raining when we get done, we can do this loop and come back up. So, being it's going to be a little bit afternoon before we get going, I'm going to grab a bite to eat quick, and we'll be on our way. Or so you thought the plan, but we'll get into that in a little while. First, let's check out this here fishing pier. I've caught bass here before. It goes out here quite a ways. It's well worth checking out. This is almost smack dab in the middle as far as along the shoreline of Beers Lake, Beers. It's pretty deep right off here. It's probably 6-8 feet right off the pier. It's a little breezy right now. You can see it's picking up. That point over there is where the boat dock is. If you look through there, you can see my van. You can see a little better as I get closer. Summertime, it's a little busy. You can rent those boats right there if you stop at the main office and rent one. I'm not sure how it's done. I've never done it, but you can park off to the right here. There's a parking area, and a few people park right there along the trees, but you probably get half a dozen to 10 cars in here comfortably, but that's about it. We're coming up on a meadow crossover trail. I'm still bound and determined I'm going to do the loop around Grass Lake. And then, being the weather is clearing up, I'm bound and determined then I'm also going to do the loop around Bass Lake. And that's a good plan. But as you'll soon see as we get to the other end of this, is where my big edit comes in, but I'll explain that later. This is basically just a crossover trail that allows people to get to the campsite from the boat launch or fishing dock area without having to walk the road, which would be easier to walk because you're not walking up this incline right here. But it's a little bit longer because it does go around this ridge here and cut over to the campground. But safer wise, I think this would be the way to go. It's an easy walk. It's meadow, so it's not like walking on a sidewalk. but it's mowed, maintained, and groomed. Funny story while we're on this trail. Well, here you can see that's the road right there that this trail avoids people walking on, basically. And that swings around and goes to the campsite. Right here I'm talking about how it's clearing up and weather's turning out much nicer. I'm doing a voiceover because now and then the wind is just so bad. Not that my stumbling over words is any better, but the wind is just so bad that it's just easier to do the voiceover myself. Make little notes about what I talk about along the way, and just bring it back up again, and maybe in a different way or whatever, but makes for a cleaner audio. So anyways, we may not have time before this video ends to get into the heart of the story, but the DNR, or I should say the office administration here, actually pulled up and was talking to me while I was getting ready for this hike. And I told her what I do. I make videos and walk the trails, and asked if there was any legal thing to worry about. She said, oh no, people do it all the time. But she also said the reason she stopped is because she noticed that the truck right next to me didn't have a permit, and it just kind of blew right through the gate, kind of, and decided it was going to come down here and go fishing for the day. Well, that truck was also a big dually, heavy-duty GMC with a construction company name, and we're going to leave it at that, boldly printed on the side. Not printed, but painted. So, DOT, everything. With a pretty decent trailer, and it was a nice boat. I saw him put it in, but you're only allowed such a big boat here, so it wasn't like it was gigantic, but it was new and it was nice. Well, she came down and put a ticket on that windshield to let them know that, you know, hey, if you're going to come and play, you got to pay. But a little interesting story about that, how I started out the hike. But she said it happens more than she wants it to. But, you know, it's the way it is. It was just the wrong weekend, being Mother's Day weekend, for something like that to be pulled, because it's full staff in there today. When I drove through the campground, I figured I would be able to get a campsite to park to be able to hike the trails, and there was no way that was happening. Most of the campsites were full, and I didn't even want to take the chance of being in the way or anything, so that's why I parked at the outer edges of where the guys put boats in the waters off the boat ramp, you know, way out of the way. I just have a van, so, and there was other people there doing the same thing. There's also parking for vehicles, because not everybody has a boat. Some bring canoes and roos and stuff like that, so. But spring has officially sprung, as you can see. Getting down here into a little bit of a lower land. almost wouldn't see this trail if it wasn't mowed. Nice little deer habitat. But you can see how close the trails and the roads are here. There's a forced speed limit, mostly 10 miles an hour on the dirt roads because there's so many trails and horse trails and hiking trails that cross. But and this is Knoll Trail heading south back along the road that we came across or came up onto. This is where the big edit happened, and we could not go up around Grass Lake on that loop. And I didn't want to put any of it on video because there was a lot of construction names and vehicles and license plates, and everywhere I looked there was just things I just didn't want to have on film. And it looked like what they're doing is expanding the campground by a lot, like twice almost size, which is going to be great. But I couldn't get to the upper north side of the campground to get on the trail that went along Grass Lake and then looped back down around. So what I'm doing here is just basically walking a people trail that goes along the dirt road. It just basically keeps people off the roads. Safer for the drivers, safer for the people. You can see right here, though, the brush hogs have been through and just mowed the edges clean. And you really need that, especially a day like today right here when it's wet, and the ticks love this kind of weather. And any type of piece of wood that you'll step over, your legs brush against it and have ticks on you in no time. So they do a really good job keeping it clean here. There was a little jump in the film there because I actually crossed the road to explain what I was doing by that sign, but I felt it unnecessary, so I edited it out. We're still on the same exact. That's what I'm saying to so this is the same trail, basically. Other than everything being damp from it just raining, it was a really quiet walk. You can see where other people have been in here, walking their dogs. What I'm saying here is the turned up leaves are from dogs. Their feet flip when they walk, where humans, we pack things down, where dogs flip things up. So between that and how tight the pattern was, you can tell it was a dog. So this comes up on the road that eventually you got to walk down to get to the big long loop that goes along Bass Lake. or you can take a left there and go down that dirt road and go down to the campsites, and if that's where you're going. But this one ends right here, and you follow me on the next